Hello and welcome to Wisconsin in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, executive editor of the Center Square Newswire service. Joining me today is Ben Yount, Wisconsin correspondent for the Center Square. Ben, how are things?
It is a beautiful, hot, muggy day, one where I think I'm going to go find a lake to sit and have a beer by, because it's always cooler by the lake.
Yeah, it is, and that actually sounds like a good time to me. After the week we've had, we are recording this on Thursday, August 3rd. News across the country, news in Wisconsin, including how it relates to your taxes. Ben, what's going on in Milwaukee?
Milwaukee County this week raised their sales tax, and this was absolutely not surprising to anyone. The new shared revenue plan that came out of the legislature, which essentially sent a lot more money to local governments all across the state, included a provision that the governor, the leaders in Milwaukee County and the leaders in the city of Milwaukee wanted. And it, for the first time, allowed the city of Milwaukee to create a sales tax. And this plan also allowed Milwaukee County to raise its sales tax. Currently, Milwaukee County has a half-cent sales tax. The vote, this most recent vote, takes that to 0.9%. So just under a penny. Milwaukee gets to create a 2% sales tax, and they very quickly did that. Milwaukee created its sales tax last month. It will go into effect in January. And so the Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors followed suit. And this is an instance where you have elected officials celebrating the idea of raising taxes, celebrated the idea of charging people across the county more. The quote from the county executive, David Crowley, is that today the County Board of Supervisors shaped the future of Milwaukee County for years to come by avoiding a devastating fiscal cliff that posed to threaten irreparable harm to our community. After years of advocacy, Milwaukee County finally has the additional revenue needed to avert a financial disaster. What was striking about this is that this is a tax that's going to bring in about a little under $7 million per month, about $82 million a year. And so much of the coverage from local media and so much of the conversation among county leaders was on the spending side. This allows Milwaukee County to pay for buses and parks and senior services. It also allows the county to deal with its looming pension debt. But there was hardly any conversation, except in our piece over at the Center Square, about the cost, that this is going to cost people in Milwaukee County $6.8 million per month. You also have to add the county sales tax to the city sales tax, because most of the people who live in Milwaukee County live in the city of Milwaukee. And now people who live in the city of Milwaukee come January will be paying almost 8 cents per dollar on many things that they buy. And that's a rather substantial increase, and one that has an untold foreseeable circumstances or ramifications, consequences for businesses in the city, particularly those on the city line or the county border. So this is an interesting one. I've written a lot of stories about tax increases before, but very rarely have I written stories where there is a celebration of a tax increase.
Yeah, that is unusual. That was a fairly strong statement from the commissioner that you read there. One, I appreciate, Ben, your coverage focusing on the taxpayer and what it's going to mean for taxpayers. Differentiates the Center Square's coverage from many other media outlets. What are critics of this tax increase saying? Is it too much spending in Milwaukee County? Anything there?
One of the biggest criticisms is that this is going to be very hard on people who can't afford this tax increase. That, like a lot of urban areas, you have some rather wealthy people. An extra 3 cents on the dollar isn't going to break them. Now, this tax doesn't apply to gas or groceries or prescription medicine, which is good. Wisconsin exempts that from the sales taxes, both locally and at the state. But there are critics who point out you've got an awful lot of people in Milwaukee and Milwaukee County communities who are living on fixed incomes, and they just can't afford to pay more and more and more and more. There are business critics who say, look, if somebody can buy a washing machine at Joe's Appliance in Milwaukee County and buy the same washing machine at Jim's Appliance just over the county line, well, they're going to go save themselves the money and buy the appliance just outside of Milwaukee County and have it delivered to their home. So this, once you draw a bright line, a hard border of things cost this here, but across the street, things cost this there, you get some issues. One of the other criticisms that you have is that this is not going to fix Milwaukee County in particular's problems. There will still be a deficit come 3-4 years from now. That while this is going to raise $6.8 million per month for Milwaukee County, that'll erase the deficit for this year and next. But 25, 26, you start looking again at a deficit for the county budget. And that's when you have to ask, okay, so what happens then? If they're unwilling to make cuts now, will government be willing to make cuts then? Or are folks who live in Milwaukee and or Milwaukee County going to look at another tax increase?
That just seems like the inevitable cycle of government. Every couple of years, wanting more of taxpayer dollars. Interesting. Ben, thank you for your insight into this, but we are out of time. Listeners can keep up with taxes in Milwaukee County and across the state of Wisconsin and more at thecentersquare.com. For Ben Yount, I'm Dan McCaleb. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.